Imagine waking up to find out your job, your town's biggest employer, and your community's backbone is gone. Not because demand disappeared, not because of mismanagement, but because of a political promise gone sideways. In small towns across America, Dexter, Perry, Noel, thousands of families are facing this harsh new reality. Why? Because Tyson Foods, once a symbol of rural American strength, is shutting down plants left and right. The reason? Tariffs, protectionism, and corporate decisions that valued cost-cutting over community. Stay with me, because what's happening here is about more than just meat processing. It's about the future of working-class America. If you care about real people behind the headlines, give this video a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this story. It really helps. It all began with a bold idea: bring back American manufacturing by slapping tariffs on foreign goods. Under President Trump, the U.S. launched a wide-ranging trade war with the hope that companies would ditch overseas suppliers and invest at home. Steel tariffs went up to 50%. A blanket 10% tariff hit most imports, and duties were slapped on everything from packaging to farm equipment. On paper, it looked like a push for American jobs. But what actually happened? Tyson Foods, the largest meat processor in the U.S., didn't expand. They didn't hire more. Instead, they closed over a dozen facilities. Over 5,000 jobs disappeared. Why? Because when you raise the cost of steel, feed, transportation, and packaging all at once, you create the perfect storm for corporate retreat. Let's talk about Perry, Iowa. When the Tyson plant closed, 1,200 people were out of work overnight. In a town where Tyson was the economic anchor, the effect was like ripping out the town's foundation. In Dexter, Missouri, 683 jobs gone. In Noel, a town of just 2,000, the loss of 500 jobs felt like the whole town was collapsing. These weren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. These were fathers, mothers, immigrants, farmers, teachers. Grocery stores saw sales drop by 50%. School districts had to slash budgets. Churches became food pantries. And families that came to America for opportunity found themselves trapped in sudden poverty. Here's something you don't hear enough about. The backbone of many of these plants were immigrant workers, refugees from Sudan, Eritrea, Central America. They moved to these small towns, bought homes, paid taxes, sent kids to school. They were doing everything right. And in one corporate email, it was all ripped away. In Perry, nearly 60% of the Tyson workforce were immigrants. The closure didn't just end jobs, it shattered dreams. Food banks ran dry, children went hungry, and hope became a luxury. Quick pause here, what do you think? Were tariffs worth it? Drop a comment below, I want to hear your take. But the impact didn't stop at factory gates. Hundreds of small farmers, many under contract with Tyson, were left holding the bag. They had taken out loans, built new barns, expanded operations, and suddenly, their contracts vanished. Now they're left with livestock they can't sell and loans they can't repay. Foreclosures spiked, family farms folded, and rural banks that once eagerly backed Tyson contracts started tightening the screws. This wasn't just bad luck, it was the result of decisions made in boardrooms in D.C., with little thought to who'd be left holding the bag. When Tyson leaves, the damage ripples. Restaurants lose half their business. Car dealerships lose buyers. Churches run out of aid funds. Gas stations close. Even local school sports programs vanish as tax revenues dry up. And it goes further. Nationwide, grocery prices are climbing. With fewer domestic meat processors and higher production costs thanks to tariffs, grocery chains are paying more and passing it on to you. School lunches have less protein. Diner menus are shrinking. We're all paying for this. So who did win? Supporters of the tariffs point to the steel industry. Some mills opened, and jobs came back in places like Ohio. But here's the truth. U.S. steel now costs 35% more than global rates. Great for steel profits, terrible for everyone else. Tyson, car makers, appliance brands. They all faced the same choice: eat the costs or cut costs. Tyson chose to close plants and move operations to cheaper areas. Meanwhile, the company's CEO raked in $12 million in compensation last year, while Perry and Dexter lost thousands of jobs. Tyson even scored hundreds of millions in federal subsidies and still walked away. Federal law requires 60 days notice for plant closures. Tyson ignored that in several cases. In Perry, workers heard it through whispers before anything official came out. In Noel, the notice came weeks before the last shift. Union leaders called it what it was: a betrayal. And while workers scrambled for rent money, Tyson's lobbyists were in Washington securing tax breaks, watering down worker protections, and asking for more subsidies. They closed plants in the U.S. and opened new ones in Thailand, China, and the Netherlands. So much for America first. It's easy to talk about numbers, harder to talk about people. In these towns, the collapse meant food insecurity, rising crime, and school kids showing up hungry. Some families had to choose between rent and medicine. Some packed up and left, while others stayed behind and hoped things would get better. And let's not forget the local businesses: hardware stores, barbers, diners, many of them family-run for generations, now shuttered. All because a corporation shifted its efficiency strategy. This isn't just about Tyson. It's about what happens when policies sound good in speeches but fail in practice. Tariffs, without a long-term industrial plan, backfired. They raised prices, squeezed companies, and led to the exact opposite of what they promised. Instead of growing domestic jobs, we watched them vanish. Instead of standing up to globalization, we watched American companies double down on overseas expansion. Instead of protecting American workers, we left them behind. So where do we go from here? We need policies that actually support local economies. That means investing in education, infrastructure, and small business. It means holding corporations accountable when they accept public money and abandon the communities that built them. And it means rethinking what economic patriotism really looks like. Because the heartland can't survive on slogans. It needs real, sustainable solutions, not trade wars and false promises. The unraveling of Tyson's role in small-town America should be a wake-up call for all of us. Behind every plant closure is a town that loses its purpose, families that lose their income, and children that lose their future. It's not just an economic issue, it's a human one. If we want an economy that truly serves the American people, we need to listen to stories like Perry, Dexter, and Noel, and make sure we never repeat these mistakes. If this story moved you, please hit the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one. Your support helps keep these voices alive. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay informed, stay grounded, and stay strong.